Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about learning two languages simultaneously. I know that many of you have already started with their 2023 language learning goals, so I received this question a lot. Should I learn two languages at the same time or should I wait? So in this video what I'm doing is just telling about my personal experiences because I speak 9 languages and I think it's not really hard to guess that I have learned some of them simultaneously. So today I will share with you 5 experiences that I had and I will compare each one of them and explain their pros and cons because I don't think that this question is something that we can answer with yes or no. I think that you should consider all the possibilities and then at the end you will already find an answer to your question. So let's start with my first experience learning 2 languages simultaneously. It was learning English and French. Personally, English has never been a difficult language for me, so I just hadn't any problems learning English and French simultaneously. So if you think the same with English, like I know that I'm going to reach fluency in English if I study it regularly. That was my mindset, and if you have the same mindset, I think you can start learning a new language, French, Spanish, German, I don't know. But for some people, English is like too hard and they have a lot of difficulties learning English, so maybe those people should wait. But if you speak English already fluently, B1, B2, C1, and if you want to learn a second language, just go for it. I think you shouldn't waste your time just thinking about it. Just learn a new language. I know people are going to say you shouldn't learn any new languages unless your English is perfect, but no, English is like the most common language that everyone is using, but if you are already comfortable with your English, just go and learn a second or third language. That's my advice, okay? And that was the easiest case that I have ever experienced, like easiest case of learning 2 languages simultaneously. Because English is already easy and a new language will just be like another perspective for you, okay? I recommend this one and that was easy. Now the second case is learning 2 similar languages, but in one of them you are already fluent. So in my case, my French level was C1 and I was considering learning Italian from 0. And I learned it and I hadn't any problems. But why it has worked for me is that I was sure that I wasn't going to lose my French because I was completely fluent in the language. French was just my comfort language, I hadn't any problems with that, and learning Italian didn't affect my French in a negative way. So I can recommend this case and that was easy. I learned Italian without any problems, and besides, learning Italian has been really easy for me because of French. You can adapt the situation to yourself. For example, my German is C1 and I'd like to learn Dutch. My Spanish is C1 and I'd like to learn Portuguese. Okay, go for it. So in that case, as you can understand, I would recommend learning this new language. So if one of you has this kind of situation among their 2023 goals, just do that. Learn that new language. Now the third case is learning 2 similar languages, but you aren't fluent in them. So my situation was learning Italian and Spanish at the same time. I started learning Spanish from 0 and my Italian was somewhere around A2 and B1. I wouldn't recommend doing that, even if that was really easy while learning. After a few months, I started experiencing a lot of difficulties and like for around a year I couldn't differentiate Italian and Spanish. I could understand what I was listening to, like people are saying me something, I can understand that, but I don't know which language is that. You're talking to me in Spanish and I'm just listening to you, but I don't know in which language you're speaking. You're just speaking something that I understand, but I have no idea. That was terrible and I felt myself really confused, like don't do that. Just wait until you will speak one of these languages fluently, okay? Because right now I don't have problems with my Italian and Spanish because my Italian is already advanced. I spent a few months focusing on Italian and after that period I just stopped confusing these 2 languages. But before that, that was really confusing. Like I learned it really easily thanks to French and Italian, but at the end I had a lot of difficulties. Like come in Italian, which means like come me, like me, but in Spanish they say como. I can't differentiate that. Or io, in Italian that we write io, I, but in Spanish they write yo. Or for example, the most confusing thing is like que and que. I know that they are literally the same, but right now, since I have already spent like 6 months, I guess, concentrating on Italian, I don't have any problems left. I can speak them at the same time without confusing. My Dutch is not really fluent, but I'd like to learn German. Wait. I'm not really fluent in Spanish, but I'd like to learn Portuguese. Don't. In this case, I won't recommend learning 2 languages from 0, okay? Now the fourth case is learning two languages from zero, but they have nothing in common. In my case, I learned German and Russian at the same time. Those are probably the two most difficult languages that I speak, and I learned them at the same time. What was my problem? I don't know. It was lockdown. I need to just mention this detail because it was lockdown and I hadn't any responsibilities. I had online school, but who cares online school? The only thing I did for like 11 months was studying German and Russian. As you can imagine, I didn't have any time problems, but if there was no lockdown at that time, I wouldn't probably be able to learn German and Russian at the same time. So just consider that. If you have plenty of free time, you can do this. But it has consequences on your mental health. After those 11 months, I had two new languages in my life. Like everything has changed. But at the same time, I had a lot of health problems because of stress. Because Russian literally, I don't know, Russian is my biggest trauma in life. I always said it, I know, but it's because of the mistake that I have made by learning Russian, so I don't want you to make the same mistakes, just watch my video about Russian language. If you have a lot of free time, you can learn two completely irrelevant languages from zero, but at the beginning I thought that Russian and German had nothing in common, but actually knowing Russian grammar helps you a lot while learning German, and knowing German grammar helps you a lot while learning Russian. I have heard many of my followers who want to learn these two languages at the same time because they saw that I did. So I'm just telling you more about this, okay? For example, I was learning the German accusative und dative, and I was just like, okay, ich liebe dich, dich, and ich sage dir. Dich and dir, okay? Like, I will figure that out. But then when I was learning the same topic in Russian, I was just like, я тебя люблю. Тебя. That's dich. Okay, now I got it. Я тебе покажу. Like, I show to you. And I was like, okay, now I understand what dich and dir are. You know my Russian friend who helped me a lot while learning Russian, right? So he was learning German by himself and he doesn't have any particular talent for learning languages, but he learned German easier than me. Because he said that German really makes sense. The grammar makes sense. But I was like, it's my first time hearing about accusative and dative, so I just can't understand what's going on. But he could understand everything because he already speaks Russian, which is a way more complicated language and which has the same grammar topic, let's say. But Russian grammar is way more complicated because German language has 4 cases and Russian has 6. For example, in German you would say, ich bin in der Schule. You would use dative here, but in Russian we say, я в школе, and that's предложный падеж, which you don't have in German. I have never heard Russian people who had serious difficulties while learning German because they share the same grammatical logic, let's say. I have never thought of that detail, but just keep that in mind in case you are going to learn German and Russian at the same time or you are considering that. So if you're just like, I'd like to learn Spanish and German at the same time, but I'm not sure if I should do that. I think you can, but that depends on you. Do you have enough patience? Do you have enough motivation? Do you have enough time? For example, right now, if I would try learning Swedish and Portuguese at the same time, do I have enough time for that? Or is that really necessary? That's another question. Like, is that really necessary? I don't regret learning those 2 languages and being hard on my mental health. Like, it was bad, but right now, I don't feel bad about that. And also something else I'd like to mention is, if I learned German without Russian, in Turkish we have an expression like kötünün iyisi, and that means like you have 2 bad situations or 2 hard situations, let's say, and one of them is slightly easier or better. In my case, learning Russian was just a nightmare and learning German was an escape from Russian. So I'm really happy that I learned German and Russian at the same time because that helped me perceiving German language as an easy language, unlike many people. Because German is really famous for being hard and difficult and complex, and yeah, those are right, but since I learned German at the same time with Russian, I was just like, okay, I won't complain about these. In this case, everything depends on you. Just listen to yourself and decide for your own. As a last case, I'd like to mention something that I'm currently experiencing. So my German is B2 and I'm already fluent in this language, but I wouldn't call German my comfort language. Like, I don't claim speaking German without any mistakes or difficulties. And I'm learning Dutch, which is a really similar language to German, which I can understand since the very beginning. So while learning French and Italian, I didn't have any problems because my French was already perfect, but my German is not perfect. It's B2, but still not perfect, so I'm experiencing some problems, and I'd like to talk about these problems. I can't speak German right after Dutch, or I can't speak Dutch right after German, because these 2 languages have a lot of similar words with slightly different pronunciations. And I feel like my German pronunciation has kind of changed. When I'm speaking German, I just can't think of the aber, but my brain just says mar, because also in Italian it's ma, in French it's me, so in Dutch it's mar, so it's 3, 2, 1. My brain chooses mar, and when I'm speaking German I just say mar instead of aber. And that's really annoying because I speak German since like 2 years and Dutch since 6 months. And Dutch people pronounce G like h. For example, ik kan neergetal spreken. I'm supposed to say guten Morgen, but I say goedemorgen. I hate that, but I don't regret my decision. I think what I'm doing is correct, but I still have things to do. I still have things to improve. So if you're in the same case, for example, you can say, my Italian is B2 and I'd like to learn Spanish, but I don't really count on my Italian. It would just leave me at any moment. I don't know, your Italian has already the basics, more than basics, it's B2. Like, you can count on your Italian and you can learn Spanish at the same time, but be really careful. That was everything I would like to explain you in this video. I hope that the video helped you to reach a conclusion, and if you still have questions, but I think I have pretty much explained everything, just leave a comment explaining your situation in detail, okay? You can follow me on Instagram, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch my new videos, and you can also take a glance at my other videos about language learning. I think that they will be really helpful. I wish you a lot of success with the language or the languages that you're learning, and take care.